Hello. Hello. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. This is Joseph, CEO and President at Farmer Boys. I'm Vishal, founder and CEO at ItsaCheckmate. This is a very unusual conference for us as a technology company. What we do is we bring together your POS world and your digital world. So I founded this company in 2016 and started off developing a mobile app that you could pay and split your check when you're dining in restaurants. That's why the name Checkmate. I tried to buy the URL checkmate.com. It was roughly $200,000. ItsaCheckmate.com was for $12. The easiest decision I've had to make, since then up until now. Started off doing that, didn't really do really well. And in 2017, I came upon this picture. I promise this is a real picture that I took at a shop in Brooklyn. And I walked by this lane a couple of months ago. The store had closed, very unfortunately. But this picture has stayed with me. It's in my favorites in my phone, along with my kids. So that's how important this is for me. But this is what we stumbled upon. Started off very scrappy, scraping emails from Grubhub and DoorDash, pushing it to the POS systems. Now, today we have, working with over 23,000 locations, some of the largest brands in the country, integrating 45 different online ordering channels, as we call it, into the POS systems. And we've got some investment, and very recently, hearing a lot from the CIOs, CTOs that we're looking to consolidate our tech stack, right? So great, you do the third-party integrations really well, great solution, but can we also manage first-party through you? We acquired a really high-quality first-party solution, working with the Farmer Boys team on that. And I know you all are seeing CSAT and support here and all of that, right? Every company will say that. Why we are putting our money where our mouth is we have a month-to-month contract with our customers. There's no long-term contract, no setup fee. It's a month-to-month setup. So really focusing on the customer support piece here. Working with some of the larger brands, and we've gone through this image, where our goal here now is, we built the POS integrations, over 50 of them, and the digital world, the digital footprint in a restaurant was already growing, right? What COVID did was accelerated it. And now we've got all of these digital channels. We're working with a CarPlay ordering system. We've got a drone delivery system coming up. You could order now on your Apple Watch, Facebook Messenger. All of these are digital channels that we can now pipe directly into your POS system. And that's why this conference is a little unique for us, is we believe we are the reason, or we are at least the catalyst, that's requiring the restaurant operators to rethink their layout, right? I strongly believe the digital footprint will overtake the physical footprint in the near future. So how do you account for that in a restaurant space? We were talking about underground delivery for Wendy's, like 2 drive-thrus and all of that is already old news, apparently. And, that's why working with Farmer Boys has been amazing. One of the traditional very community-focused brands and having a specific footprint in their area, and how do they evolve with the digital landscape and growth. So handing it over to Joseph to take it ahead.
Thank you, Vishal. Okay, so Farmer Boys is a 40-year-ish old legacy brand, largely in the Inland Empire area of California. We recently opened up in Arizona, so we've had some expansion through the last couple of years. We're about 102 restaurants now, so we're 30% company-owned, 70% franchised. We're known for our burgers, our breakfast, and more, so we do a full-service breakfast through a drive-through. So we have dine-in, we have full made from scratch, made to order breakfast. All of our food is made to order in the restaurants, so it's all made from scratch when you order it. So because of that, we're not that quick. Our service times, we aspire to be below 6 minutes total time, depending on what the nature of the order is. If it's a Saturday morning, it can be a really large order for multiple people, something that you might see like in a Denny's type of restaurant. If it's lunchtime during the week, we sell more salads than anything else. Our portions are generally large size. The produce is sourced locally. Our meat is, it's never frozen. Because we're a legacy brand, our owners really think about our concept as a come and eat in the restaurants. So before COVID, we were very late to the party around digital, off-premise. Anything tech-enabled was sort of what we decided we didn't want to be. I joined the brand about a month into COVID, so came in and brought in a lot of the, what do we need to do to close the gap really fast. In that, I've experienced a culture where people generally don't embrace technology within the organization. They're very skeptical of it. I think from what I see with their owners in the past, what they've gone through is a lot of folks telling them what they should be doing, but not really able to execute it. And as I work with them through the digital transformation, it's really bringing them along with the idea that we can have a vision and we can also execute it, right? We're a 100-unit concept. We don't have the same budget as Chipotle, as McDonald's. We have to do things much scrappier, much more nimble. And that's where it makes us having to have great partners that are in it with us, that can help us get there and actually achieve the goal. In most cases that we've seen, and this industry is a bit odd, and I've been in it for many years, is that there's a lot of small tech companies. There's not a lot of bigger ones. And understanding who's going to be around, who's actually able to execute it. In our restaurants, our POS is one that I don't think many people in the US even use. So in many cases, when we look to do something with third-party integration and consolidation, or online ordering, first-party, or loyalty, these are all things that people have to figure out. What is our system? How does it work? What's the coding, right? It's nothing that's generally off the shelf. So people really haven't seen it. So in most cases, the first time that they touch our systems is the first time that whichever partner it is, they've ever seen that. So finding partners for us that are able to actually execute what they say they can do and will work with us through all the bumps, because there's going to be bumps, right? It's not going to be perfect. Salespeople will always say, oh, it's great, we're going to have this done in 2 weeks, no problem, up and running. It's never the case. At least for us, it's not. But as we've gone through digital, right, we've started out with the third-party integrations. We had loyalty before, putting that all together. Now with Vishal, we've begun to work on our first-party online ordering, so our native app. We're looking, as we've now seen our mix of sales be roughly 65% dine-in pre-COVID, now that's probably dropped to 42%. So now it's having us accelerate around what does our restaurant of the future look like, and coming from California, where the cost of land is more expensive. We're also looking to reduce size, smaller dining rooms, more customized and situated for off-premise. So our concept, because we have a lot of breakfast and we have a lot of lunch items, we've historically had 2 whole kitchens within our building. And we've never really gotten to altitude consistently of needing that second kitchen. So now that we have a lot of restaurants that have these, we're actually rethinking around, do we repurpose the second kitchen to all off-premise? So thinking about what we have and not really having to maybe go guardrail to guardrail, but take what we know and pivoting from there to something that'll help us to grow and to continue to evolve and meet the needs of our guests. We're also looking at designated parking stalls, a lot of other options around how do we go from what we are, which is largely a legacy brand that does well from a sales perspective, but how do we evolve with our guests? As our guest ages and new people come into our system, we really see a bit of a dichotomy, if you will, in how our guests want to approach us and how they want to access us. And as I try to bring the organization around to, not being IHOP, not being Denny's, not being other brands, how do we make the best us? Because we are in this sort of odd niche that nobody else really wants to be in, and that gives us a place that we can hunker down and we can fight from and we can grow from. And I believe that as we grow, that niche is what's going to separate us as we grow into new markets.
So one of the interesting conversations I was having yesterday, and I'd love your view on this, Joseph, is for a regular restaurant that has dine-in and to go, one of the feedbacks I got was this particular restaurant that I went to, it seemed empty, and I think you had that same experience, but my food took 35 to 40 minutes to come out. Why? Because there were invisible orders, whether it was drive-through, online, delivery, takeout, that was taking up all of the capacity of the kitchen. And it seemed like this restaurant was actually prioritizing delivery orders over dine-in. What is your view on that? Is that how it should be? Should there be a balance, first in, first out? Love your thoughts on that.
So because of our business nature, right, we have a large breakfast during the week and then a large lunch. And for us, dinner's a little bit slower. On the weekends, breakfast morning for us is a huge day part. And the particular story, my wife and I went into one of our restaurants not too long ago, and we ate inside. And it was at a time that I don't usually go in, so that particular crew doesn't know who I am. So I got to sit there and just sort of observe. And what she felt was, the restaurant's not busy. Why did it take longer to get our meal than normal? And I explained to her, well, you don't see the drive-through line. You don't see the guys walking in taking massive bags out because it's a Saturday morning, so there's a lot of large orders. So what we're trying to do is figure out how do we get our folks internally to understand, because again, we were always a dine-in focused brand. How do we balance now, and as we reallocate our staffing, how do we balance the experience and the insight so that the folks that are there and can visually see what's going on don't get put off because they don't see the drivers, they don't see the drive-thru because it's shifted so much. For me, it's trying to understand how do we balance our deployment during different parts of the day and different days of the week, because our business isn't the same every day. It's a lot different and depending on when you go. So some of the things we looked at is if somebody orders from third-party delivery on like a weekend, we actually have a larger time frame by which they have to order. So it helps us govern that and get a little bit more in front of the business. During the week, it's smaller because there's less of it. So trying to manage the volume a little bit more for the delivery on the weekends, trying to get it a bit more spread out. People tend to, in the mornings, want to queue up real early. They want to hit us real early with big orders to get ahead of the line, and that's great. Our guest is already learning that that's to their benefit because, again, our drive-thru is pretty slow. And while we're trying to make it faster, it's still, we get inundated with really large groups of folks in those orders.
Great. This is mostly what we had to share. Happy to take questions if anybody has anything.
Any questions, anyone? Yeah, just wait till I bring the microphone up.
Yeah, you mentioned the different time and speed of service to call it somehow from different channels. Do you see a more focus on KPIs and performance indicators more into like the drive-through and the third-party delivery orders that we can see numbers that say it took 7 minutes for that car to go away or it took 15 minutes for that order to be picked up, and we have that visibility on the time from customer orders, preparation, and delivery. Do you think that that takes more, that visibility that we have in numbers takes in counting for the operation team to focus more to the drive-through and the delivery and not much into the front counter, what is not a visual, untenable numbers to tell us, hey, the order was placed at 9 a.m. and then you delivered the food at 10. Why it took an hour? Do you think that that's because we don't have that visibility, or that visibility we're able to help deploy properly? What are your thoughts on that?
So I would say it's sort of a pre-COVID existence to in COVID until now for us. Pre-COVID, the drive-thru was more thought of internally as a luxury to our guests. So there really wasn't much attention paid to it naturally in the organization. There were times in those things, but they were just up there. Nobody really did anything. COVID hits, all of a sudden everything's through the drive-thru. So we went guardrail to guardrail and got very focused on speed, throughput as much as possible. What we found was as we did that, our accuracy scores went way down, which pissed off all of our guests, right? Because in our brand, you can basically customize whatever you want. We encourage that, and that's what guests come to us for and they like. So we really focused on speed and we lost accuracy. We've since course corrected back, found a better balance between the two, and saying you should go as fast as you need to reasonably achieve the goal and do it correctly. So I don't want you to just break your neck to go as quickly as possible and not make the food correctly, because then the guest isn't happy either way, right? It was fast, but it's wrong. And they would rather have it be right. So getting the culture to look at the time and understand, I'm not saying, you know, go 5 minutes, go 6 minutes, but be aware that now it's 12. So we should be looking at that and be conscious of it. And then going to accuracy now, it's really looking into what's the accuracy scores in dine-in versus off-premise, because there's a pretty big difference. So as we're looking through sort of what we focus on going forward, it's okay, now that we've gotten back and we've re-improved accuracy, right, in this new world where we're focused on off-premise, how do we drive off-premise accuracy to be just as good as the experience would be if you were dining in?
I'll also take a quick 30 seconds. I think technology can also play a part in making sure your kitchen operations run efficient, right? So you talked about drive-through and delivery. We've worked with a few brands where customers place orders and your delivery time is 40, 45 minutes. But to your point, somebody who's walked in or in drive-through, they don't wait for that long, right? How do you make the kitchen operations efficient is we work with the third-party platforms to hold the orders on our side and only inject it right before the prep time into the KDS, because the entire kitchen was set up that way. So when an order hits the KDS, they don't care whether it's a walk-in, it's a drive-through, it's a delivery, it's a to-go. It's there on the KDS, it's in the same format, I just keep making them. And once it gets cleared off the KDS, the driver is here. I'm obviously talking about an ideal scenario, but it gets cleared, somebody is there to pick up that order. You know, so injecting, I think it all also boils down to how you're optimizing your kitchen efficiency with the help of technology, obviously coming from my perspective. And that helps.
Wonderful. Look, we are out of time, but if you do have any questions, yeah, thank you so much, Joseph and Vishal.
Thank you, everyone.